Honorable Sean Richards, Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and our honored guest speaker for tonight. Honorable Lindsay Grant, Minister of Tourism. His Excellency Ambassador Tom Lee, the Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan. His Excellency Jose Oliveira, Acting Ambassador to Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Mrs. Khalid Morton, Permanent Secretary in the Minister of Tourism. Mr. Earl, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the St. Kitts and Nevis Anguilla Training and Development Company, TDC. Members of the Board of Directors of the TDC Group of Companies. Mr. Christopher Jitter, General Manager of the Ocean Terrace Inn. Gary, Gregory, and Ricky Pereira, children of our founding father, the late Colin Pereira. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Mr. John Hanley, CTO, Certified Hospitality Assured Assessor. Mrs. Euphemia Bryce Roberts, CTO, Certified Hospitality Assured Advisor. TDC subsidiary managers, members and staff of the Ocean Terrace Inn, corporate clients, invited guests, and the media, a pleasant good evening to all. My name is Alicia White. I am the sales executive here at the Ocean Terrace Inn. And tonight, we wanted to invite everyone in to celebrate with us on this momentous milestone of turning 50 in March. So tonight we celebrate, and this achievement did not come about by default, but hard work, dedication, and the patronage of you all. And for this, we want to say a heartfelt thank you. Thank you all for patronizing us. Thank you all for giving us your business. We truly appreciate it. And let's get into the meat of the matter. So I will invite Mr. Pastor Penny to come and invoke God's presence on our proceedings tonight.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Lady. Would you please stand where you are? Our God, our helping agents past, our hope for years to come, we come tonight to thank you for what you have done. Truly we can say the Lord has done great things for us, whereof we are glad. We celebrate tonight 50 years, the golden jubilee of the Ocean Terrace Inn. We thank you for the founding father. We thank you for those who've played a hand during the years. But, oh God, we thank you that you've kept this property going. We thank you for Mr. Pereira and all those who have the vision and the foresight and the Pereira family and TDC and all who have worked down through the ages. We thank you that even though this has seen fire and hurricanes and floods and it's been through thick and thin, that it has been revitalized and continues to be a vital historic site in St. Kitts and Nevis, providing employment and bringing accolades to our country. So we pray for the future of this property, that you'll grant wisdom and understanding to all those who will make decisions concerning this property. Yes, we pray that you'll guide the hands of those and that you'll grant them wisdom and understanding and grant good success to the Ocean Terrace Inn. We thank you for what you have done. We thank you for what you will do. We thank you for the good corporate partnership with the Irish Town School and other areas. And for this we pray you'll bless the Ocean Terrace Inn. Continue to guide and direct tonight's proceedings and continue to bless the Ocean Terrace Inn, we pray. In Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Penny, for that lovely prayer. You may all be seated. And now we'll ask Ms. Twyla Amory to come and deliver the chair manager's remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Chair, allow me to adapt the protocol already established. First of all, thank you all for being here to celebrate the opening of our 50th anniversary celebrations and also our latest accomplishment of becoming the only hotel in St. Kitts to be hospitality assured. For those of you not familiar with me, my name is Twyla Amory. I am the front of house manager, and I'm also the Hospitality Assured coordinator. The Hospitality Assured certification program was created by the Institute of Hospitality in the UK, specifically for the tourism and hospitality sector to improve service quality. The Caribbean Tourism Organization owns the license to operate the program in the region, and the program's overall objectives are to promote a culture of quality, service excellence, and continuous improvement in the Caribbean. These objectives are driven by international standards and certification to strengthen business performance and overall competitiveness. The Hospitality Assured certification promises customers that service excellence is guaranteed by the company offering the service. Mr. Jeter was first introduced to the program by Permanent Secretary Mrs. Colleen Henry Morton and Ms. Noblet Morton. After explaining what Hospitality Assured was and the benefits it would bring not only to O.T.I, but also the country on a whole, it was impossible for us not to venture along this journey. After we submitted our application to CTO, we were then introduced to our business advisor, Executive Director at Bryce Roberts Business Consulting Services, Mrs. Euphemia Bryce Roberts. Mrs. Bryce Roberts spent countless of hours with us and always made herself available when we needed her, and for this, we cannot show our appreciation enough. Please give Mrs. Roberts a round of applause. We were taught to speak in a language that was in accordance to our core values and to always listen to each other's opinions. The 9 steps we are guided by are customer research, customer service promise, business leadership and planning, operation planning and standards of performance, resources, training and development, service delivery, service recovery, and customer satisfaction improvement. The road to certification was long and lengthy, and the challenges we came across were meant to stop us, but they were not meant to defeat us. We were anticipating being certified around the time the storm hit in 2017. However, because of some damages we faced, especially at Fisherman's Wharf, we decided to postpone until we felt as though we were ready again. And on the 22nd of November 2018, we started the assessment with our assessor, the acting permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Nevis, Mr. John Hanley. Thank you, Mr. Hanley, for all the help you offered to us during and after the assessment to ensure we were ultimately successful by following the 9 principles. Please give Mr. Hanley a round of applause. To our stakeholders, we pledge to always do our best to deliver excellent service with you in mind. Without you, this would not be possible, and this is why we invited you to be a part of this celebration today. As a tourism-driven country, we must continue giving our guests value for their money and ensuring their experiences are valuable. It is extremely satisfying to us that we are the only hotel in St. Kitts to be hospitality assured. However, we encourage other hospitality and tourism-based industries to also become certified so we can become the leading tourism destination in the Caribbean. To the Pereira family, thank you for setting the foundation for high service expectations as established by Mr. Colin and Richard Pereira. The Pereira family ran the hotel with excellent customer service being the prime focus, and therefore, Ocean Terrace Inn remains one of the leading hotels on the island. The hotel was founded on the premise of staff development, training, and appreciation, and these remain some of the core values today. To our staff, you are the driving force behind our success, and we appreciate your hard work and your dedication to the company. We have a duty to ensure we fulfill our customer promise, which speaks to exceeding the service, the expectations of all our guests. We have much to be thankful for over the years, having been honored with many awards, including the 2016 to 2017 TripAdvisor Service Excellence Certificate, the 2016 Skyviews Award of Excellence, the 2016 Chambers of Industry and Commerce Award, the 2016 finalists of the Chief Awards in Sustainability, the Restaurant Week winner 2017 to 2018, food and beverage sections respectively, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority Sustainable Tourism Award 2017, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority Achievement of Excellence Award 2017, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority People's Choice Award 2018, the St. Kitts Tourism Authority Award of Excellence 2018, and now the 2019 Hospitality Assured Certification. It would be remiss of me if I did not mention some of our past staff that started this process with us. So I would like to thank Ms. Julia Meyer, Mrs. Sharima Abbott, Ms. Sharifa Brown, Mrs. Tishanda Elliott, Mr. Larry Monrose, and Ms. Jonille Stapleton. These persons, although they are no longer working with the company, they contributed significantly, and so we cannot celebrate without acknowledging their work in the process. To the team members, if you're here today, can you please show your presence to the front? Ms. Sharifa Brown. I would like to thank you all for your hard work. I know it was not easy, but we overcame together. You were all amazing, and the country is blessed to have such a talented workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, we officially announce O.T.I as Hospitality Assured. Please give yourself a round of applause because this is an accomplishment for us all. I would now like to introduce our business advisor, Mrs. Euphemia Bryce Roberts, to the podium to make some brief remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Amory. First of all, Madam Chair, permit me to adopt the protocol established. As Lady Amory went through her delivery, I thought, why am I here? Because I think she largely covered what I could see. So I'll be very brief, really to say in terms of really to congratulate O.T.I on being the first, not just the only. I'm hearing the only. We're looking for the first. Could we give them another round of applause, please? And just to say, in terms of the journey, having identified the 9 steps, and just for the information of persons, as we're looking at having more hotels on board, more persons coming on board, that the 9 steps really focus largely on the 3 aspects of the organization itself in terms of business leadership and planning, the customer in terms of service delivery and customer service improvement, and very importantly, which for some reason we sometimes seem to forget, the employee. And so that model, that business model really puts the spotlight on the various aspects of the organization, thereby encouraging continuous improvement. What I would just like to say, also very importantly, when I started the process, I must say when I came in, and to Mr. Jeter's credit, I noticed the whole team was on board. So it was persons were learning from one another. Yes, there were times when you had the more powerful voices taking the lead, but with time, it was understood that all of us, however big or small our voice, we needed to play a part. And I think that was to the O.T.I's credit. Could we acknowledge them in that regard? And so it's as a model for for other organizations, whether in the hospitality industry or otherwise, in terms of focusing on continuous improvement and being guided by the principles of the Hospitality Assured program, while for the Hospitality Assured program, there's a specific path. The whole idea is that the concept of excellence, business and service excellence, is a model for all organizations. With this, I say thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mrs. Roberts. And we'll now invite Mr. John Hanley just to say a few words.
Pleasant good evening is wished to all. Madam Chair, with your kind leave, I respectfully observe the protocol that you have established, save to recognize the presence of the Honorable Lindsey Grant, Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Sean Richards, His Excellency Tom Lee, Mr. Chris Jeter, General Manager of the O.T.I, Mr. Earl Kelly. I wish to extend heartiest congratulations to the Ocean Terrace Inn and, by extension, its parent company, TDC, for obtaining the singular honor of being the very first property in St. Kitts to become certified under the Hospitality Assured program. It is also quite opportune that this accolade comes at a time when O.T.I is celebrating its 50th anniversary as a locally owned and managed hotel. Kudos to the O.T.I for these accomplishments. The Hospitality Assured program is managed by the Caribbean Tourism Organization on the license from the British Institute of Hospitality and focuses on business excellence. Business excellence means that mediocrity is not acceptable. In this competitive age, being good is not good enough. If a company is not positioned to deliver excellent service consistently to its customers with each encounter, its prospects for remaining in business are slim to none. Business excellence also makes perfect business sense. Treating your customers right every time engenders loyalty, which leads to repeat patronage and increased profitability. In addition, demonstration of excellence in sustainable tourism practices, such as support for the local community and conservation of energy and water, are not only good for the planet, but are also bound to have a positive impact on the bottom line. O.T.I is now the standard bearer of the esteemed Hospitality Assured program on St. Kitts. All the other properties will now look up to you as an exemplar. Don't drop the ball. It was a pleasure working along with the team at O.T.I in my capacity as the Hospitality Assured assessor assigned to the property. Mr. Chris Jeter, his hard-working assistant and HA coordinator, Ms. Twyla Amory, and the staff were very accommodating, passionate about the success of the organization, and very cooperative. I sincerely appreciated the warm hospitality of O.T.I during that weekend when the assessment was conducted. Chris, you have a great team here, and they are very committed to ensuring that the guests at O.T.I have a superlative, authentic, and satisfying experience, and for that you must be commended. I discovered during my interaction with them, from front desk to housekeeping, from maintenance to kitchen, that this staff possesses a wealth of ideas and visionary zeal which, if properly harnessed by management, can take O.T.I to new heights. It was refreshing to hear them speak with satisfaction of the guests who have expressed their appreciation for the many times they would have gone beyond the call of duty to make their experience memorable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what exceeding your service expectations is all about. As a tourism entity, O.T.I has an impressive record of commitment to the principles of sustainable tourism. This hotel is an excellent corporate citizen that believes in giving back to the community. That, to me, is a strong selling point. I must also give credit to Ms. Bryce Roberts, the business advisor, who worked assiduously alongside O.T.I to ensure that they were compliant with the stringent standards set by Hospitality Assured. Finally, I urge the O.T.I family to recognize the fact that the achievement of Hospitality Assured status is not an end in itself, but merely a milestone on the continuous journey towards excellence. You have been exposed to the 9 steps and 44 criteria. I implore you to maximize on the strengths outlined in the report and to work on the areas for consideration which have been presented so that in 2 years' time, when you present yourselves for recertification, you would be in an even more advantageous position in your quest to truly stand out as the leading business hotel in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Congratulations and very best wishes to O.T.I. as you continue your hospitality assured journey.
Thank you, Mr. Hanley. And we'll now go into our keynote address by the Honorable Sean K. Richards. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes.
Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant and Mrs. Grant, His Excellencies Ambassadors John L. Powell, Michael Powell, Jose Oliveira, Tommy Lee, Pierce Tourism, Mrs. Carleen Henry Morton and Mr. Morton, Chairman of the TDC Group of Companies, Mr. Earl Kelly and Mrs. Kelly, the General Manager of the O.T.I, Mr. Jeter, members of management of both TDC and O.T.I, former Chairman of the TDC Group of Companies, Mr. Michael Morton and Mrs. Morton, executives from other private sector entities, Pastor Penny, hospitality assurance personnel, Mr. Hanley and Mrs. Bryce Roberts, members of the Pereira family, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, media personnel, good evening to all. It is my pleasure to be here this evening to deliver remarks. I must confess, however, that when I was asked to give the remarks, I asked, why me? I said to Mr. Jeter, I'm not the Minister of Tourism, but instead the Minister of Education. However, he outlined the reasons as to why me, and so I accepted the task. Today is reminiscent of another Thursday, 50 years ago, when shortly after 5 o'clock in the evening, on Thursday, March 13th, 1969, a preview was held right here at the Ocean Terrace Inn. The preview was held 2 days ahead of O.T.I.'s opening to the public. The Democrat newspaper, in its Saturday, March 15, 1969 edition, quoted Mr. Pat Ryan, associate of the proprietors, remarking to the gathering on the breezy veranda that this is $1 million view. If the view was worth $1 million 50 years ago, you can imagine what it is worth now. And I understand that even back then, you had a quarry just in front of the premises. So if you had a quarry in the front and the view was worth $1 million, indeed it's probably worth $1 billion today. Indeed, 50 years since the Ocean Terrace Inn opened under the management of Mr. and Mrs. Colin Pereira of Fort Lands, with 6 employees, including a bookkeeper, 2 barmen, 2 housekeepers, and a gardener. The more the property has changed, the more it has stayed the same. That is, O.T.I. still provides, without a doubt, one of the most majestic views of Bastille. The announcement in the Democrat headlined, "Another in Opens," mentioned that O.T.I. was beautifully decorated with various types of artistry, including a limbo dancer and 7 palm curtains with paintings depicting West Indian life by Mr. Khalil Khoury, interior decorator. It further reported that there are 5 double rooms, some of which are air-conditioned, and private baths with hot and cold water. The Ocean Terrace Inn opened on Saturday, March 15, 1969, just a couple of months after Fairview Inn, launched by Mr. Freddie Lamb and his wife Betty, held held its official opening on Saturday, January 14th, 1969. 50 years ago, then, was an exciting time for the local hospitality industry, which is now an important mainstay of our economy. As I thought about it, to open a hotel 50 years ago must have been somewhat challenging and daunting. Certainly we didn't have back then the million cruise ship passengers that the Minister of Tourism has been speaking about. The number of flights coming into the Federation would not have been the same 50 years ago. But I think we can accept that Mr. Pereira was a man who had a vision. And today we have seen the results of that particular vision. Too often when we think of opening business, we think that we have to start big. But Mr. Pereira, as we saw, began small, and today O.T.I is one of the premier hotels here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. If you're looking for a hotel which basically offers you anything you need, you can come to O.T.I. When you think of the big name hotels here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, O.T.I has been able and continues to compete with all of those hotels, and we must applaud O.T.I for such. Notably, as our tourism industry has grown and become more diverse, the Ocean Terrace Inn, which is now owned by the TDC Group, has kept a pace. In May 2014, it closed to facilitate an extensive refurbishment with concessionary loan funding provided by the St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Industry Diversification Fund, SIDF. The hotel reopened in May 2015 with 34 rooms and regained a significant share of the corporate market. The condominium block, O.T.I Pieces of 8, comprising 6 two-bedroom units and 2 one-bedroom units, 14 rooms, have been approved as a qualifying investment under the Citizenship by Investment Program. What's more, in 2017, O.T.I received the St. Kitts Tourism Authority's Achievement of Excellence Award, and this year it became the only hotel in St. Kitts to earn the accreditation of Hospitality Assured by the Caribbean Tourism Organization. The CTO's Hospitality Assured certification program promotes business and service excellence and is supported by the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, which has provided funding for HA assessor training workshops. Last year, a regional HA program assessor training workshop was held here at O.T.I. The aim of the HA certification program is to develop micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, especially owner-managed businesses in the tourism sector located in specific CDB borrowing member countries so that they can strengthen the business performance and overall competitiveness of their tourism sector. Participating countries include Belize, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On behalf of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis, I therefore extend hearty congratulations to the O.T.I Group, including its management and staff, for achieving this impressive accolade, particularly during the 50th year. As Minister of Education, I strongly endorse certification programs such as the CTO's Hospitality Assured initiative. I also vigorously support any such project that the Caribbean Development Bank has had a hand in, as the CDB has been a long-standing friend to St. Kitts and Nevis. Most recently, the CDB has enabled the Ministry of Education to offer scholarships under the Technical Vocational Education and Training TVET Enhancement Project. So far, 6 of our nationals have received funding under the TVET Enhancement Project to pursue degrees in critical need areas such as agriculture, apparel and garment management, and construction technology. Upon completion of their studies, they will return to the Federation to teach subjects at the TVET level. Who knows? These future graduates might train the farmers who end up providing O.T.I with agricultural produce in the future, or a seamstress who sews beddings, pillows, and linens for your hotel, or the architect who spearheads a future remodeling project at O.T.I. In my capacity as Minister of Education, I also take this opportunity to commend O.T.I.'s corporate social responsibility as it relates to investment in our children. In 2016, for instance, the Ocean Terrace Inn adopted the Irish Town Primary School. Currently, the O.T.I. cares for a fruit and vegetable garden at the school. This project allows the children to learn about agriculture and science, as well as how to take care of the environment. The Ocean Terrace Inn doesn't just stop there. The hotel provides a variety of fruit and vegetable seeds for school children to plant, and in turn, the O.T.I. purchases the produce born from their hard work to use in its restaurants. O.T.I. is also involved in the school's annual sports day, contributing all items for sale in the bar and donating the funds raised back to the school. Give O.T.I. a round of applause, please. Moreover, through your Environmental Best Practice Fund, O.T.I. guests have the option to contribute US $150 per night stay. Proceeds of this Environmental Best Practice Fund are used to help with the general upkeep of the school's premises. I am proud to be a past employee of the TDC Group of companies, and I know that learning of the extent of your involvement in our community, particularly in our young people's development, will make the whole country also proud of O.T.I. I must also confess that as I entered the premises this evening, one of your staff placed a smile on my face. The gentleman is a Mr. Brown, and I came into contact with Mr. Brown, I think it would have been late last year. He came to my office asking about opportunities and studies available in the hospitality sector. It so happened that a few weeks after, the Taiwanese government offered some 6 weeks training in the hospitality sector as part of the TVET program that we are pursuing for persons who are employed in that particular field. When we turned to CFBC to get recommendations in terms of students, because he's also a student at CFBC, Mr. Brown was one of the students who was recommended. When I entered the gate this evening, he had a very big smile on his face. He said, "I want to thank you so much for the opportunity which has been provided. It was a marvelous 6 weeks in Taiwan. He has learned so much that he wants to put to work right here at O.T.I. I think his selection is, of course, testimony to the fact that CFBC would have seen the potential in the gentleman, and of course the feedback which would have come from O.T.I. in terms of his work performance here at O.T.I. So again, you see how O.T.I. has been working with our young people to develop their skills within the hospitality industry. I'm Not surprised though, because as I've said, I've worked with the TDC group of companies, so I've had the good fortunes of being here at O.T.I doing auditing work. It has always been a good experience. But apart from that good experience, over the years, I've hosted a breakfast for primary, secondary, and tertiary level students from my constituency as part of my birthday celebrations. The very first year I did it, I called a member of staff at TDC and I said, this is what I'm looking to do. Can you get me a quotation from O.T.I? I think before the end of the day, I had received the quotation. The price that was provided, of course, was a fabulous price, but I think even more fabulous has been the service which has been provided over the years. So each year thereafter, I continue to come back to O.T.I to host that breakfast. They're always, the menu has always been a flexible one so that they cater to just about myself and all of the students and other personnel from the Ministry of Education. And as I said, you get $1 billion view while you're having breakfast here at O.T.I. So you pay whatever it is for each meal, but you get $1 billion view free of charge. And the students do enjoy it. One year when I came, the staff, which has always been quite nice, they actually made a little birthday cap for me and placed it on my head and sang the birthday song and took pictures and everything. And it is that sort of experience which I think one treasures. And to see that you can get that experience from a locally owned hotel, I think it says quite a lot. Quite often we think that these type of experiences, we can only get them by going to the big hotels which are owned by foreigners. I can testify to the fact that you get excellent service here at O.T.I. 2 years ago, when the Ministry of Youth introduced our youth forum, we came right back here to O.T.I. And last year, when we had it for a second time, we came back to O.T.I. again. It's testament to the quality of service that we continue to receive from the staff here at O.T.I. You ask for a quotation, and as I said, within less than 24 hours, you get a quotation. You continue to get follow-up calls from the staff to ensure that the function is still on, to ensure that you have received the email with all of the pertinent information. And I think it is that type of personal service that draws one to places such as O.T.I. Therefore, I end by wishing you continued success and a happy 50th anniversary. Thank you.
Wow, such an information-filled keynote address. Thank you again, Mr. Richards. So we continue on with our program. If you did not know, you now know for sure after that speech. So we'll ask Mr. Earl Kelly to come and give a couple remarks.
Thank you very much, Alicia. I'd like to adopt the protocol that has been established. It's just to say good evening to everyone. As you have heard, O.T.I, I almost said TDC. O.T.I is turning 50 next month. It has been tried, it has been tested. We've heard a lot about the stories about activities at Ocean Terrace Inn. I've heard stories about parties, people falling in the pool. We have heard about the bitter end disco. I don't know about those things. Mike Morton is the one who told me about those things, all the parties that he has had here. But obviously, O.T.I was a fun place. Many people have had fun here. And that is due to the hard work of the Pereira family, the founding family. And a lot of credit has to go to the late Colin Pereira. Let's give him a to Mr. Colin Perry and the rest of his family, and some of them who are here this evening. We want to thank them for the hard work they have done in establishing Ocean Terrace Inn. TDC took over, TDC became the controlling shareholder about 20 years ago. TDC was always a small shareholder, but it took over the controlling shares about 20 years ago. And so we have invested a lot of money in this establishment, lots of money, including about 5 years ago when we invested over $5 million US. And what you see here at O.T.I is a product of that. We have upgraded the conference facilities, we have upgraded the rooms. Unfortunately, we are only able to upgrade 34 of the rooms. We weren't able to do the condo block, but we still have hope to do a number of different things here when funds allow. But we have to give congratulations to the management and staff of O.T.I now, because you heard that O.T.I is now the only hospitality assured hotel in St. Kitts. Congratulations to Mr. Gita and his staff. We believe in training at O.T.I, as we do throughout the whole TDC group. As a result, we have brought in over the last couple of years international training chef who has come to O.T.I to train the cooking staff here, the kitchen staff here, and also kitchen staff from other establishments. And so we don't only bring people in to train our people at O.T.I, we spread the word around, we get them to come in to participate. But we have a lot more to do. I think St. Kitts and Nevis has a lot more to do in terms of training. We are expanding the hospitality sector, and we have to train our people. I have a real liking for Caribbean nationals, but we cannot continue to create jobs and then our local people cannot do them. And that is a reality. We have more and more foreigners coming in to hold jobs, which if we train our people, we can employ our local people to do those jobs and get the level of service up. I've seen what has happened at Four Seasons. I think today we are having a meeting and we talked about how we can get our local people to up their game. And I mentioned that back in 1993 or 92 or thereabout, when Four Seasons opened up, there were many people in Nevis had never worked at a hotel before. Many people who went to the Four Seasons to work had never worked at a hotel before, because those people who worked at the small hotels in Nevis, like Montpellier and Golden Rock and so on, they were treated so well. They were like family, so they didn't leave those hotels. They stayed. So Four Seasons had to end up getting new people who had to be trained. And they trained those people well. So Kittitians and Nevisians are trainable. We just have to be patient with them. We just have to guide them. We just have to coach them, and they can do the job. But we cannot just depend on hoteliers to come in to provide the training. We have to do some of it ourselves. And here is where the government comes in. I am very glad that the Minister of Education was asked to do the keynote address. And I must tell you, it was not by accident. And also that the Minister of Tourism is here, because we want to spread the word around that O.T.I is open to have a discussion about ways we can continue the training of our nationals here in St. Kitts and Nevis to improve the quality of service that we provide to all of our visitors. I want that conversation to continue because it is needed, Mr. Minister. We have to do this because it's important to our country, it's important to our economy, it's important to our young people. And I want to end on that note and leave it there. I just want to say, finally, again, all the very best to the pre-wearers. They have done a wonderful job. I gather that I'm supposed to make a presentation to them. So, Alicia? And could I get one of the pre-wearer families to come forward, please, to accept a token of our sincerest appreciation. You guys did a good job to bring Ocean Terrace in to where it's at today. Yes, yes. Okay. when people do good work, they should be rewarded. It's a small token, but I just want to say all the very best. Thank you very much for bringing it to where it was when we took over 20 years ago. We're trying to do bigger and better things here, but we have constraints. I hope that you can recognize the place still.
Bring a lot of memories back.
So all the best.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kerry. All the best.
Thank you very much for listening to me. All the best.
Good evening, everyone. I've been delegated to say a few words on behalf of my brothers and my family, and I'm not accustomed to making speeches, and I don't have a speech in place. But I'd like to first of all say thank you for everyone for coming this evening. I'd like to thank O.T.I, the TDC group of companies, for keeping the Ocean Terracing current in a tourism market, for making it somewhere special for people to come still. I'll make it really quick, a little bit of our family history to where we are now. I mean, we've had a lot of great speeches already tonight, giving you a lot of great information. But the O.T.I basically was our family home. And where we are standing in right now used to be called the Bitter End Discotheque, for those who remember it way back when. There were sliding glass doors here. We have lots of great stories of many things happening in the spot. But a little quick history on the family. So it started off as our family home. My father and mother were literally forefront in the whole situation. My father was in the kitchen. My mother was in the office. We had family members working here, there, and everywhere. And they actually built it up over the years to expanding to different areas of the hotel. And the old joke was that my father was the horse and my mother was the jockey. Basically because my father had all the great ideas and plans. He had all these things he wanted to do. And my mother had to pull back on the reins because he had to watch his budgets and what was happening. Even down to the old story of the Fisherman's Wharf, when that was built. You know, he had plans to do this expansion into the sea, and a lot of people, business people, said to him, "Colin, you're throwing the money in the ocean. You don't want to do that." But it actually turned out to be a very successful operation, Fisherman's Wharf. My brother Gary ran that for many years and made it very special. My brother Gregory worked in the hotel. He studied tourism and did his part until he decided to branch out. I had my small pieces along the way. O.T.I actually bought 2 hotels at the south end of the island, Banana Bay and Cockleshell. Made it into one hotel, 18 rooms, so it did expand at one point. My wife Penny and I ran that for almost 2 years, the last 2 years before it got destroyed in 1989. So it was a great process all along the way. And then finally, they got to a stage that they decided they wanted to sell on, because none of us boys really wanted to keep it going. We all had our own things going, because my father always said, you know, you make up your bed, you sleep in it, you want to do your own thing, be your own boss. So we kind of learned from them. But one last thing, with all these great things that have happened here, and I want to congratulate the management and staff of O.T.I for their award. But O.T.I would not have been, even under my father and mother's, patronage and being here, wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't for the staff. Like you mentioned, staff were family. And I just want to mention a few people of many that worked here for many years. Like you talked about staff that wouldn't leave because they were happy working here. And staff like Alfonso Brown comes to mind, Elaine Liebert, Winifred, Marcus, Mikey, Pearline, and there's many more who are like an intricate part of the family that really without them, Lappy was a character again. So O.T.I would not have been what it is, or what it was and is, without the staff. So staff create a really big part of the whole personality of a hotel. It's like it's run like a family. And we're very pleased to see it going still and under the umbrella of TDC and the great staff and management. So we just want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and we really do appreciate the award, and we wish you guys many more years of success.
Thank you very much. So now that we're at the end of our formal setting, I just have a little section here for anybody who wishes to come up and probably bless us with a story or a memory before we go into the socializing part of the night. Wonderful. Mr. Powell, thank you. Welcome him.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Permit me to adopt the protocols for ably established. Safe to recognize our very distinguished and esteemed Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, my renowned Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant and Mrs. Grant, my ambassadorial colleagues from Taiwan and Venezuela, and my local ambassadorial colleague, Excellency Jonelle Powell. Colin Pereira and I went back a very long way. We were co-workers at a company called J.W. Thurston's and Company. Is anybody in the room remember the name of that company at all? I see Charles Wilkin in the background. I'm sure he will remember that. That is where we met. Colin was the manager of what was then called the corner store. We sold refrigerators and washing machines and electronic equipment. I was the manager of the customs and shipping department, so we worked closely together, which is everything Thurston ordered back then. My department had to clear them from the government warehouse to TDC's, to Thurston's warehouse, and I had the honor of doing the pricing, giving the guidelines from the directors above. And so we worked closely together. Everything he sold, I had to clear it and put the price in it. And that's where we got together. I'm talking about 1960. Anybody in here old enough to remember that? 1960, way back then. And we got together and we talked all kinds of things. Eventually we started talking politics. And guess what? Colin Pereira ended up becoming the first secretary of the People's Action Movement. How many people here knew that? Understand? Became the first secretary of the People's Action Movement, and I was one of the vice presidents. So we worked together, first of all, and then we worked together politically. And for 15 years in opposition, he was the general secretary of the party. He left. I got thrown out of Thurston's. He left a few years later and decided to set up his own business. He called me and said, "Mike, I'm resigning from Thurston's." I said, "Really? To do what?" He said, "I'm going to open an inn." I said, "Colin, what the hell is an inn?" He said, "You have to forgive me. I wasn't too familiar with the term back then." He said, "I'm going to open an inn." I said, "What is an inn?" He said, "Well, a mini hotel." I said, "Okay, Colin, what you know about hotel?" He said, "I'm going to try it." He said, "Look, all of my siblings has gone abroad. We have a big house with a lot of rooms. I am going to turn that into an inn." I said, "Colin, your mother and father is going to allow you to bring people into the home?" He said, "Boy, the old lady dead against it, but I can work on the old man to persuade her." Well, he successfully worked on the old man, and O.T.I. started, as the son said, in a home. And I didn't expect at that point to reach to this stage at all. Guess what? Come 1980, general elections, the party that which he was secretary for 15 years eventually became part of the government with NRP in Nevis. Good news. His co-worker and political colleague is now the Minister of Tourism, your humble servant. That made Colin very happy. So here we were working together again now. O.T.I. If you notice, Colin never referred to it as a hotel. It was always an inn. That's why up until now you see it, it doesn't say O.T.I. Hotel. It says Ocean Terrace Inn. So the inn with 5 rooms ended up with plenty more rooms and condos, etc. One day, Colin called me. He said, "Mike, I have some bad news." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Man, I went to Barclays Bank, to the manager, to get some funds. I want to build, I know you're the Minister of Tourism, you tell me I must build more rooms. I go to the manager, I want to add 20 rooms. The manager tell me I want to go too fast, I must take it easy. I said, what does that mean? He didn't give me the loan. I said, Colin, seriously? I said, Colin, is this a private matter between you and the manager? He said, what you mean? I said, could I intervene in the matter? He said, please. He said, whatever you can do, I will be eternally grateful. I sat in my office, I called the manager of Barclays Bank. He was an Englishman. And I said a few things to him. I wouldn't tell you what I said to him at that point in time. I said a few things to him. And among those things, I said, look, as Minister of Tourism, I am very anxious for the additional 20 rooms that Colin wants to build. What is the problem? Typical English diplomacy. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, I am very glad you called. I am certain Mr. Pereira misunderstood what I said to him. Could you kindly ask him to come back and see me? The rest is history. Colin went back and he got the money. Understand me? This is how much I became involved in this whole thing. You understand? And then he told me he was going to expand. I said, Colin, there's no way to expand. He said, the crawl. Somebody mentioned the crawl a while ago. It was all rocks, the quarry. We used to call it the crawl also. All rocks and bush. I said, Colin, you're crazy. What are you going to do down there? He said, man, I have a plan. He turned it into a beautiful place. I said, okay. He had vision. Plenty of vision. When I was traveling abroad to represent St. Kitts as Minister of Tourism, Colin went on every trip. Not paid by the government, you know. He booked his own ticket. He came. He worked out at the government's tourism booth promoting O.T.I. And he was the only hotelier that did that. Many of the hoteliers, I try to encourage them to come on the trips. I am the Minister of Tourism. I'm not supposed to be promoting anybody's hotel. They have to come and promote. Colin is the only one who did that every single time. I want to congratulate him, although he's deceased. That is why this place became so successful. Next thing he tells me, he wants to build a fisherman's wharf. I said, Colin, as your son told you, nobody understood what the hell Colin was trying to do at that point in time. As his son said, people tell me throwing the money in the sea. Again, vision. I have never met another local individual that had the vision of Colin Pereira. He had the Midas touch. Everything he touched turned to gold. You understand? O.T.I became so successful that he went over on the peninsula as one of the sons and acquired some property over there. I was also involved in that with him. And so I want to show people that all of us don't have to walk around and look for somebody to give us a job. A little inspiration and a little perspiration can make a great difference as to what we can achieve. And so Colin Pereira, deceased, may his soul rest in eternal peace, is a pioneer in the tourism and hotel business in St. Kitts. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can't better Michael on that. Some of the guys at the back expected I've come up here to tell the stories that they heard mentioned, but that is for more relaxed company than this, I assure you. I just wanted to mention one person who was very instrumental in the development of this hotel, who is sadly no longer with us, who was a very close friend of Colin, a director of TDC, and who sat on the board of O.T.I for many, many years, and who was very, very influential with Colin, who Colin listened to, and who together made an excellent peer. I'm referring to Jack Kramer, who died a year ago, and who we will certainly miss. Colin certainly was a pioneer, as Michael said, and they were few and far between in those days. If I could just paint a little picture, just imagine blank out Frigate Bay, because there was no Frigate Bay. Town was shut down 4 o'clock in the afternoon and very little happening. everything was sugar cane everywhere. The airport, maybe Liat came twice in a day if you were lucky, and maybe some other little 2-engine plane came. And there were no other substantial hotel properties around. When I left here to study 2 years before Colin opened O.T.I, as Michael said, Colin was a manager at J.W. Thurston and Company Limited, which is the predecessor to TDC. When I came back 4 years later, I saw this fantastic property. I couldn't believe. And one thing you didn't mention, Mike, was the buffet. Friday night buffet started in those days. Mike, I'm right, $5, right? It was $5. After the oil crisis in 1973, I think it went up to $7. I think so. Or perhaps because when Mr. Warren ate so much. Lobster one week, steak the next week. And of course, the beautiful garden bar that was patronized by so many, including some of the drinks like those, like the green one that we saw there, that caused some of the young people to climb the flagpoles and do other unwise, of course, conch chowder. And the bitter end discotheque, which you could not even see as far as 1 foot ahead of you. And then later on with Fisherman's Wharf, again, Fisherman's Wharf began small. When you went to Fisherman's Wharf, Gary had a cooler with ice and some fish, fresh fish. When the fish finished, the restaurant closed. But sometimes it took a while, but very often he sold out very quickly. And it was all done on a barbecue, no fancy stuff there. So O.T.I carries a lot of memories, is a landmark property hotel in this country, and I think we ought to teach our young people about properties like this, developments like this, people like Colin Pereira and Leslie, who, as Ricky mentioned, was so instrumental. They were a peer, true peer. And they then transmitted some of that entrepreneurial spirit into their 3 sons, who have done very well in their own individual right. I think, Minister, if I could just comment on one failing that we have in this country, is that we don't record our history. We are 50 years old, roughly, as a self-governing country. And I'd like to take this opportunity to urge that perhaps the CFB can correct that, because we will lose a lot of this history that is known. People, and I think a country that does not know its history is missing a lot. Thank you.